8 canvas, 8 by 8. And this is a canvas I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby. Hey, Tammy. Which means it says it's a paint pouring canvas. It just means it's sturdier. It has a canvas. It is a wrapped canvas, but it's wrapped over the top of this really sturdy cardboard. All right, so it gives it that extra durability. So 8 by 8 canvas is what we are working on. Ugh. All right, I'm going. You go, Sherry. We don't do that, do we? We don't throw glass away. So, really loving these canvases, and I got them on clearance at the Hobby Lobby. All right, so I'm going to show you what we're working with a little bit. So this is decoupage paper, all right? It's super thin. It's not as thin as a napkin, but it's thinner than scrapbook paper. Scrapbook paper is super hard for me to decoupage. It just is too thick. So this is thicker than a napkin, thinner than scrapbook paper, and it is made for decoupage. All right. So I bought this on Amazon. It's been a hot minute, so I don't have all that information, but it is decoupage paper from Amazon. Go check it out. All right. So we are going to be decoupaging this gorgeous, crackly, rustic paper onto our canvas. And we're going to be painting a pumpkin over the top. Now, I have, for my girls in the Shattered Circle, I have painted on a stem, but I'm not going to be using that. I am going to be using this for my stem. So this is our tracer that you'll get inside the Shattered Circle in case you need to paint your stem. But I'm going to leave that off on this exact project, and I'm going to add my stem, and I'm going to add a little bit of vitrograph. Hey, Kelly. And then we are going to use a little bit of clear glass, and we're going to use some vase glass that I've been cutting all day today, okay? So this is just clear glass that I've nipped from an old vase that my housekeeper broke in my house. So we're going to be using some of that, and I wanted to show you a couple of things. So here's what you're going to get if you sprinkle the love, invite your friends, let them know we're here and that they are missing out if they don't come and hang out with us and watch. I'm going to give away 2 pumpkin stems. Here are the ones I've kind of been hoarding. So I have this black pumpkin stem, and I have, this one's not really a pumpkin stem. It's just a thick little piece, but you could use it. This one's a little shorter. And then I have this blue one, super cute. So I'm going to be gifting 2 pumpkin stems that I've gotten in my glass blower chip glass. And to some lucky winner tomorrow. We'll draw a name tomorrow. So all you got to do to win 2 pumpkin stems is to sprinkle the love, let your friends know we're here, post it on your page, and let them know how much fun they're missing out on. Come back here, tell me you sprinkled, and we will draw a name and give away some pumpkin stems. How is that? How's that for sharing the love? Huh? How is that for sharing the love? All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started, because when you're working with decoupage, you got to draw the layers. So we are going to grab, I don't want to get my decoupage paper messed up. So I'm going to grab a napkin, and I'm going to get some of the moisture out. Look at all those sprinkles. Thank you guys. Y'all want some stems, don't you? Maybe I'll give away 2. I do not have them in my shop lid because I get them randomly and they are all different. And inevitably, if I have 50 of them and I post and say STEM, they want to know exactly what they're getting. It's too hard and I don't have them all the time. So I try to just do gifties for those kinds of things. All right, but if you have a local glass blower in your area, that's where these came from, okay? They just, when they're making something, they're blowing it, and they just cut that off, and that is exactly where that comes from. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I am gonna layer my canvas with a fairly medium coat of Mod Podge, and then we're gonna lay our decoupage paper down so that we have this beautiful, fun, rustic background. How about that? I'll tell you what I'll do too. If I give away a stem, and this is the only sheet of this I have, Annabelle, thank you, but I'm gonna cut off the edge of that. I'll send you that scrap of that with the pumpkin stem. How about that? You can see if you can use it somehow, some way. All right, I'd send you a whole sheet, but it's the only one I got. All right, so let's get this covered with, and you gotta do this fast because you don't want a section to dry and then your paper not stick well, okay? So don't dilly-dally when you're adding the Mod Podge to your canvas. Make sure it's covered all the way to the edges. I got some lumps, so let's get those out. Ooh. All right, I'm gonna go up and down. I got more lumps, golly. I'm gonna go up and down and make sure I hit my edges. Make sure we're all covered. And then, I'm gonna take my paper. I'm gonna try to line it up with these two edges so that I only have to cut off the other, okay? So I'm gonna line it up at the bottom to match my canvas. Scoot you down, hang on. Settle down, buddy. Settle down. Line it up. And line it up. I'm gonna press it. Get those bubbles out. It's easier if you start in the middle. If you start here and then push, you could create a wrinkle. But if you start in the middle and just kind of push to the edges, it does help eliminate some of those wrinkles. And I got a little wrinklage right there. We're not gonna worry about it too terrible much. And before I do my top layer of glue, hang on. Before I do my top layer of glue, I'm gonna hit this with my heat gun a little and try to get this undercoat, this coat, a little dry. Just give it a little heat. And then we'll do the top. Thank you, Sheila. Isn't this pretty? Thank you, Kathy. Okay, now I'm gonna let that cool just for a second. Hey, y'all. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn it this way for a second because I wanna make sure I get that edge wet, really wet, because it'll be easier to tear. Thank you, Kathy. So I'm gonna start here, and I am just gonna seal the top as well. Make sure you get your sides so that you don't have any loose edges. And if it has a little texture to it from just a little air bubble or two, don't concern yourself. I mean, look at the paper. The paper is super rustic, so I'm not gonna, can't get any decoupage. I'm not gonna concern myself with imperfections because that basically is what this paper is kind of all about right now. All right, so now I'm gonna run my brush right along that edge, the edge of my canvas, and then I'm gonna pick this up and I'm gonna tear it. All right, I'm gonna go down, go downward, and tear that edge off. You could also just like, oh, look at there, we got a little boo-boo, but it's okay because I have a plan. You could also cut it to the size of your canvas if you didn't want to deal with this kind of stuff. All right, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna let that dry so I can send that with the pumpkin, the stems. Now I'm gonna try to cut this off, get that edge. And I'll just try to tear that off as well. A little easier, except it's sticking also to my finger. Yeah, you know me, I'm always trying to do things the hard way. You could totally just cut this, but that would be too easy, wouldn't it? All right, let me get this off and try to get my hands unstickied. Yes, that would be that would be the easiest way, but you know, I like to do things the hard way sometimes. Let me get some water on my fingers. And I'm gonna come and just make sure that my edges are secured so that they don't peel up around the edge. All right. All right, now, got more sticky on my fingers. Let me see if I can get got some water around here somewhere. Everything is in disarray. A red thing. I don't know why that is froze. Okay, so we're gonna hit this with our dryer and get this glue dried really well. And then we're gonna make some adjustments on our paper. It's just the original Mod Podge, okay? It's just, hang on, put the top on. It's just the original satin Mod Podge. We want this to be dry because I'm going to add a little paint to it. We're gonna repair that little piece quite easily, and then we're going to do a little bit of painting over the top of our paper as well. I'm going to turn this down. Is this not pretty? We should paint the edges blue too. I think what I'm gonna do, let me get my edges dry with the Mod Podge. Make sure all that glue's dry, because I think we're going to hit those edges with some paint. Let me find what I'm looking for. Let's see if this color. Oh yeah, this color will work. All right, so before we do anything else, I'm gonna set this somewhere where it is out of danger. And I'm gonna hit my sides real quick. Then we're gonna also do a little something to the top of our, let me find a brush that's conducive. I'm gonna put a little bit of this spa blue on my plate too. And I'm gonna go around my edge. I'm gonna start with this one because I'm just gonna add a bit of this rust right where I tore that in a bad place. And we'll adjust that as well. So I'm gonna add, I should get a sponge brush. Don't panic, I'm gonna add blue on top of this too. Just want a little undercoat of rust. Y'all know I don't even like doing the sides, but this one is different. We're gonna go all out. So I'm just, I don't know if you can even see what I'm doing. I'm just adding that rust to my edge. And I'm gonna go all the way around, and then I'm gonna come back and add sorry. All right, that's gonna take 67 years. So I am gonna grab a bigger brush. So it only takes 27 years. How about that? Oh, well, our water is dry, but they haven't repaired the leak. So we're still like, we're still in a mess. All right, I'm just gonna use my sponge brush because it'll just, look at that. It just goes so much faster. That is so much better. Oh. And one more side. Now, let's see. I'm gonna hit that little spot with a little more rust. Now I'm gonna get a little traditional burnt umber. Actually, I'm gonna hit this. I want it close to dry. I'm gonna hit the edge with my heat gun. Just a wee. All right, now I'm gonna put a little bit of burnt umber on my palette, and I am going to go back in, same old dirty brush, okay? Still got that rust color on it. I'm gonna get a little bit of that umber on it as well. And I'm gonna show you kind of what I'm doing. Kind of a messy, texture-y look. A little bit of orange, a little bit of umber. Orange and umber. And then we're gonna add a little blue, just for giggles. orange, umber. So just kind of making it match the front as best we can. I'm gonna come up here, add a little bit of that umber to our little messed up edge. All right, now I'm going to get a brush, a nice brush. Let's hit this one quick second, because I don't want the blue to like meld in with the brown and orange. I see a little Cindy shed happening right there. All right, so now I'm gonna take just a little 1/4 inch flat paintbrush, and this is Spa Blue. I'm gonna get a little bit, oh, that brush is crunchy. A little bit of that Spa Blue on my brush. I'm gonna get it mushed in. See how I'm kind of mushing it in? And offload, and I'm gonna come in. I'm trying to see where my boo-boo was. Right there. I'm gonna come in and just add, I'm trying to show you. I'm gonna come in, there we go, and add just a little bit, smush, 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 a little bit of that blue on the edge as well. So we kind of pulled all those colors in so it doesn't look so harsh. All right, let's go up here. I'm trying to kind of hide where I tore that paper. And I'm gonna get a little brown. So we're gonna come here, do the same thing, get it on your brush, and then just kind of dry brush some of that blue right on top of the orange and the brown. All right, let's go around. We'll do it again. And last time, I forgot to mush it off, didn't I? We got a little excessive there, but that's all right. I don't mind. I don't mind. All right, so now our edges aren't so stark white. They kind of blend in and work a little better. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this brown and just here where I tore that paper, I am going to blend that in a little. All right, now that's kind of how we're gonna start there. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to create a little bit of a place for my pumpkin to sit. All right, so this paper is our background, but we're gonna adjust it just a wee, okay? So I do want my pumpkin to have some place to sit. So I'm gonna come up about an inch, and I'm gonna use my palette knife. Okay, this is a little tiny baby palette knife, and I'm gonna go in to my brown. I wanna save that for a minute. I'm just gonna get a little bit of brown on the back side of my palette knife. Can you see that? All right, and I'm gonna go left to right. Well, I think I am. I didn't get any paint on my palette knife. All right, let me go this way. I'm gonna go left to right and just add a little bit of, we're gonna add some more color too, don't panic. A little bit of a place for my Actually, let me try this. That's not working as well as I wanted. I got a little bit of brown on that sponge brush, and I'm just gonna very lightly drag it. Oh, that's better. Drag it across. Let some of that paper show through. That's better. All right, now I'm trying to decide. I'm gonna flip my brush over. I'm gonna grab a little bit of that blue, and right at the top, I'm just gonna blend in, and it doesn't come off as blue because it's blending with the brown, but that's okay. We're just gonna add I'm just kind of blending it with the back side of my palette knife so it does what I want it. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit more blue. I'm literally gonna put it on my palette knife because it's hard to get it on that plate. Oh shit. Okay, well that works. That works. Okay. A little bit, I didn't quite mean to do that, but what do you think? We'll just wipe that off. How about that? Easy peasy, a lemon squeezy. Oops, that's right. It happens. It happens. Just blobbed that right on, didn't I? All right, I'm gonna do a little bit. I just wanted kind of a rustic kind of look on that bottom. So kind of here is what we're working with now. And that's gonna be like where our pumpkins sit. Do you like that? Sorry about that, guys. Try not to use profanity, but sometimes it's just an oh shit moment. Oh, yeah, it was a moon, wasn't it, Elizabeth? Oh, I know, Julie. Julie was at her house saying, no, you're gonna make a mess. Don't do it. That's right. Now I got a blob, so I'm gonna try to smooth that out just a little. There we go. So that dries in this center. Hey, boo. That way I'll dry faster. That's your potty word. I'm the queen of that word, Cheryl. All right. Okie dokie. Now, here's what I want to try to do, okay? I'm going to try not to make that same mess again. But my thought was to bring a little bit of that color on to our background just to kind of tie it in. Now I'm kind of worried about doing that. I'm a little concerned about my ability to do that. So let me see. We're going to give it a try. And if it's terrible, Elizabeth said, hey, Steve, if it's bad, then we can just do what we did to the moon and wipe it off. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of that blue. And, oh, thank you, love. And I'm just going to try to bring just a little speckle of that. I don't hate it. Just to kind of tie in our pumpkin colors. We'll just make it our own. So I'm going in on one side and I'm coming down and just bringing some of that into the background. We're going to do it with that orange too. We're personalizing our little background. All right, so let's get a little bit of that orange. I'm not sure I feel secure with the orange, but we're going to bring just a smidge of that in. That's good. I don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to go too crazy, just to give it a little personality, right? All right, so now we're gonna hit this real quick with the heat, get it dry, and then we're going to work on our pumpkin. All right, 1 second. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. So sorry. Definitely sending prayers. That dried pretty quick. Okay, so now it is pumpkin time. Now don't forget, I am not going, lost my graphite paper. I probably blew it across the, oh there it is, I blew it down on the ground. I am not going to be tracing off my stem, the heat from the heat gun curled my paper. I am not going to trace my stem because I am going to be using this cute thing as my stem. I just added the stem to our work for my members so that if they don't have glass stems, they'll still be able to make their pumpkin. So I'm gonna just tape this down. Thank you, Elena. And let's slide this under. And because this is a harder canvas, I'll be able to give it a little more pressure and to make sure that my pumpkin transfers over these dark colors. All right, so I'm just gonna start here. I'm gonna take a peek and see if that shows up. Yes, it do. And I'm not doing my stem. So I'm gonna come around all my little parentheses. So we talked last night about how pumpkins are shaped, and basically it's X and parentheses. So this one, normally I do a big fat center egg and then parentheses, but on this one I wanted to do something a little different. I want to do all my pumpkins, I want them to all have different shapes over the course of this pumpkin season. I'm going to try to do a bunch of different shapes and sizes and colors. We're going to do every color pumpkin you could ever imagine. That is the goal over the next few weeks, is to do all the pumpkins. So if I just pop on and it's not even Wednesday, don't be surprised. Yes, this one has a butt. Got butt cheeks. Okay, so I can see, let me take that off. I can see my lines. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be painting my entire pumpkin and then we're gonna dry it with bleached sand, all right? So I'm gonna base coat it. I like to call this a ground coat. It's not really the color the pumpkin's gonna be, but I want a ground coat to mask out some of this background. All right, so we're gonna use the bleach sand. And let me grab a decent sized brush. Not too big, not too small. 1/4 inch flat, whatever works for you is what you should use. And I'm gonna just start painting in each little pumpkin section. Now, like I said, this is not our end color. This is our ground coat. I think I got a little too much water in my brush. Let me get some of it out. Got a little blue in there too. All right, and then we'll do this piece. I gotta hold my mouth right while I'm painting so I don't mess up. So we're just gonna paint all the little sections. And as you can see, you can still see a little bit of that backwork, the background showing through, and it's fine because we're gonna be doing more stuff. All right, so let's see this one. Then we have a little bit of a blip of a piece at the top. We'll just do that little bit. All right, let's do the other side. We're gonna come in. So I was talking last night to all the ladies in the group. We do have a couple of gentlemen as well, so I shouldn't say that. But we were painting last night and I was talking about how my guilty pleasure lately, I don't really watch a ton of television because I just feel like, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm not making good use of my time, but I was talking about my guilty pleasure being Naked and Afraid. I know, that's crazy. I know it. I know it's crazy. Drives poor Steve crazy. But I'm gonna do my little blip as well. I went home and watched one of the segments last night and I was just like, there's just this one first off, who watches Naked and Afraid? And who is watching this winner takes all new version of it right now? Anybody? Anybody watching it? I'm gonna give this a little more color in a couple of places. It's like there's like 20 or so people and they are just all getting eliminated, and the last one standing, I think that's what it's called, last one standing, wins like $100,000. A couple of y'all, Catherine's watching The Amazing Race. So who, okay, there is one person in this group that I'm like, OMG. If I had to be there with him, I would probably go to jail, might go to jail for bodily harm. Is there somebody, all you girls that are watching this too, is there somebody that gets at you that way? I gotta know who it is because I wanna know if it's both of us. Thank you, Sherry. Oh my gosh. Wendy says it's Gary. Gary is annoying too, but Jeff, OMG, that man is so obnoxious. I just can't. I like Dan. Jeff. Yes. Jeff is killing me. All right, so I'm just touching up a little bit of this bleach sand so we don't have to fight it so much. I want to test my stem. Looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna hit this. I'd hurt Gary, I'd hurt Jeff. I'd hurt Jeff bad. Gary would be the second person I'd hurt, but Jeff would be like, oh, Lord. Girl, he would make me use so many bad words. Ah. I swear, Laura, it's like, who needs that anxiety? Who needs that anxiety in their life? Not me. Not me. If y'all want some anxiety, come up here and hang out at the warehouse for a minute. We have so much anxiety here right now. Lord have mercy. Woo. All right, we're going to get this dry. And then we're going to come in and start giving it some color. Gosh. I think sometimes too, I have to feel like, you know, how it's reality TV. So I have to feel like, you know, that's just their drama. That's their job, is to be these dramatic, crazy people. And so I hope that's the case because, So anyway. All right, so here's what we're gonna do now. It already looks 3D because I didn't go all the way to my edges. So now what I wanna use, last night we used this color. This is not the color we used last night. We used aloe. This is succulent. So I'm gonna use this since I have it on my table. So this is called succulent. I'm gonna put a little bit of that on my plate. And I'm gonna put a little bit more of the spa blue over here. And I'm gonna add some whites. White. White, let's get it on there. And I still have some bleach sand in case I need to throw some of that in the mix. All right, so here's kind of where I want to use my palette knife. Now, I may change my mind. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, as always, but I think I'm going to try to use my palette knife and blend these colors so they're not like perfect. They're just kind of messy and blended and that sort of thing. So I think I'm gonna start with the succulent color, which is this green. And I'm gonna load just a little bit of that green on my palette knife, and I'm gonna come around one little section at a time. All right, so I'm gonna come around and just add some, may start with a little of the, that was of the bleach sand. I just need to have a wet background, okay? So we'll come in with a little bit of that bleach sand again, and then we'll come back with some of that green. All right, bleach sand, a little bit of the succulents. Kind of go around the curve a little. I'm gonna wipe that off. I don't know if you can see, I'm just kind of wiping it off. I'm gonna come into that blue. I'm gonna add a little bit of that blue right on top. Wipe it off. I'm gonna get a little white. I'm gonna do the other side with some whites. Should have added, golly, what's wrong with me? Now, like I said, I'm kind of just futzing and figuring it out as I go, so I may backtrack and change things. Right, a little white. And I'm gonna get a little more of that green and get a little closer to the edge. All right, I'm kind of digging that, but I want to grab a little bit more of that blue and bring it in here. There we go. And don't worry about getting in your other sections. Kind of digging that. Kind of digging it. We're going to keep going and see how it works. All right, so let's wipe it off. I'm going to grab a little bit of that bleach sand again, and we're going to come back and just use your palette knife to get a little more of that bleach sand. Cover about half of it. We're going to go into the succulent green, and we're going to kind of hit that green right along that section. Come around. Wipe it off. All right, I need more. I need more. Debbie, that is until I discovered the Naked and Afraid show, that is all I ever watched. I watched it on repeats, and a lot of times I'm not even watching it. I just have it on the TV because it makes me laugh. Sheldon cracks me up. So yeah, that's what I used to watch all the time. Now I'm just obsessed. All right, I'm gonna add some of that blue right on top of that green again. Just kind of try to follow the curve of your pumpkin. Wipe it off, grab a little white. We're gonna come around the other side with that white, as little or as much as your heart desires. And we can also come back and add more colors as we go. All right. Now we got another one. Let's do some of the bleach sand right on that inside section. Got that little blip too. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in that little blip so I don't forget it. Let's wipe off. We'll get our succulent color. We're gonna come around with that green. I'm gonna get a tiny bit in that little blip. Wipe it off. I'm trying not to intermix my colors too much. And a little bit of the blue. Whoa, that was a lot of the blue, but that's okay because we can get some white. Come over the top of some of that blue. Try not to overthink this, guys. Seriously. Try not to overthink it. The biggest thing I want you to focus on is not getting outside your pumpkin line, okay? Other than that, let it go. Let it free flow. Let it do its thing. Let me get a little bit of white right on there. And if it starts looking crazy, stop and let it dry, okay? Just let it dry and then come back in and work on your colors again. Just add in layers. All right. I'm gonna hit between these two with a little bit of white. And I'm using my palette knife flat, all right? I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of holding it flat and parallel to the surface, like this. I'm not holding it at an angle or on its side. Thank you, Elena. All right, so let's work on this little piece. We'll start with the bleach sand. We'll come in add that next coat of the bleach sand so it all blends nicely. Okay, now I'm gonna swipe it off. I'm gonna get a little bit of that succulent green, and I'm gonna work on that same left side of that pumpkin. All right, so I'm gonna come right on that edge and just barely touching. I'm not pressing, I'm not scraping, I'm just tickling the surface. Let me get that off. Just barely tickling the surface with that green. Green all the way around. Wipe it off. Let's grab a little blue. Do the same thing. Just come in, add a little bit of blue. As much or as little as your heart desires. White. And we'll finish that edge with the white. Right up next to that first green. So we're kind of doing shadowing and highlighting with our palette knife. All right, check it out. All right, let's do the next little section. I'm trying to pull that up a little. Now this is a section and a little blip. So we're gonna do the blip, they're gonna do it together. So let's get into our blip. That's our blip. And then our section. I got way too much paint there. Fill in with the, look what I did, y'all. Now we gotta make our blip bigger. That's okay. It's a lumpy pumpkin, right? It's fine. Everything's fine. Fill in with our original bleach sand. We're gonna grab the green. And it's gonna be, I'm trying to figure out where my blip is. Where's my picture? Okay, it's gonna start, the green's gonna start like right here. Around the outside edge. Like I said, I'm barely touching. I'm just tickling, because if you're putting a little pressure on your paint as you're dragging it around, it's just gonna scrape up the color that you just put down. So you're really just kind of barely touching and dragging that color onto your original layer. All right, there's my little blip. Let's do our blue. We'll do the blue on the blip. And the blue. Now let's do the white. The white is what's going to help separate those colors. All right, so the white is going to go between, in our blip, and it's going to go here. Maybe. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of the green and I'm gonna hit, and I'm just getting it, look how I'm getting it on the very tippy tip. I'm just gonna get it right on the tip, and I'm gonna hit that bottom edge of our little sections. All right. Y'all want to see what y'all want to see what Steve brought me? What could it be? Oh, yeah. Now, I see between these two that I'm missing some green. So I'm going to take my clean palette knife where my green should be, and I'm just going to kind of smash that down a little, make myself a little space. Then I'm going to scoop up some of that green, and I'm going to tickle that right in. Tickle it. Tickle it right in where it should be. There we go. I am digging it. He is a good man. That's the good red coffee. Good red coffee. All right. I'm not gonna lay this down because this is wet, but I just wanna see, I guess I am, how good I did here. I think that's pretty good. And trying to decide, I'm gonna take my little knife and I'm gonna kind of use the edge of it. That didn't really work the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. I'm just kind of cutting in, getting off a little bit of that paint between my sections, just kind of cutting in to that edge. Didn't work so much there because it was not thick enough, but let's do that. Just kind of lay it out. And then here, I'm gonna go in. I'm just gonna come around and just give myself a little gully. And one more. All right, so that kind of helps. Now we gotta get this dry, right? Gotta get this dry. And again, on the tracer, you have a stem. I'm not gonna use one because I'm gonna use my glass piece, and it's gonna fit really nicely on this piece. So we gotta get this dry so we can do a little bit of linear work, a little bit of line work. Might do a little bit of shading too with some brown. I want to get it dry and see how I feel. I just love the look of a palette knife pumpkin. It's going to take a sec because that's kind of thick. So if anybody has any questions while I'm blow drying, I am happy to answer them. We'll turn the heat down a little bit so it's not on fire. There's a big hunk of color right there. That's how it's going to look. It'll give me a chance to have a sip, right? Oops, let's don't do that. Paula, it came from Amazon. That's still wet. I need to give it another second. I'm gonna let that cool, and I think I'm gonna put a little bit of this umber back on my plate. And we're gonna do a very light, minimal bit of shading, just to give it a little bit of oomph. So I'm gonna go into my brown, just on the corner. See how it's just on one corner? Then we're gonna swish, swish. You're gonna take that brush, and it's wet, and you're gonna go back and forth. And that blends that brown in to your bristles. And we are going, I'm trying to decide, we're gonna do it on the green side. I'm gonna come around, and I'm gonna very lightly, easy peasy, I don't want it to be crazy, add a little bit of shading. All right, boom, that sure makes it pop, doesn't it? A little moisture. We're gonna go back into that brown just on the corner, and you're gonna swish again. You're gonna take your brush, and you're gonna go right, left, right, left, right, left. And you're gonna come around your next edge. Start at the top and very lightly come around. I'm trying to do it very gentle. I don't want a lot of brown. And come all the way down to your bottom. Look at that. Let's do it again. Brush, moist, corner, in, swish, swish, swish. And I'm gonna come around very lightly all the way to the bottom. Voila. Let's do it again. Corner, swish, 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 swish. And I'm gonna come around. Come around the bottom. Boom. All right, let's rinse and repeat. In the brown on the corner. Oops, where'd my swish go? Swish, back and forth, back and forth. This blends it into your brush, so you're not creating a hard line of color. It makes it soft and blendy. So we're gonna start at the top. We're gonna come around that where I cut in between my pumpkin sections. And we're just gonna add a little bit of that brown. Need a smidgy more. Swished one too many times. I'm gonna come around the bottom and up the side just a wee. All right, I'm gonna come up here just a little where my stem. Oh, I forgot my little blip, didn't I? And there's a blip over here. So we'll add that little bit of brown. All right, check her out. What do you think? That kind of made it pop, didn't it? I'm wondering, do we even need pen work? Let's do one little check. And, ooh, that's too, let's do one little blip with the pen and see if, just paint it. Just paint it, Barbara. On the tracer, there's a stem, just paint your stem. Use some Vitrograph. I'm gonna try, I'm just gonna see, just a few. Oops, got into my paint. Just a few little, very light, very sporadic. Not trying to do a lot. Just a few. I'm getting paint on my tip. Whoop. Probably just not do this because it's really pointless, right? Doesn't really need it. All right, let me get my colors together. We did not use those. I brought all kinds of colors to this party we did not use, but now it is time. Are you guys ready? You ready for the good stuff? Are you ready for all the good? I love this, y'all. This is so pretty. I'm gonna be using my stem, but I also have a couple of pieces of vitrograph. The color I'm using, this is the regular vitrograph, and it is called Moss Green. That is the moss green color that will be in your supply list from Etsy. So I'm going to be using a few of those. I may put that right in my stem like so. And then maybe this one coming out. Look how cool that looks. What do you think about that? Before we do that though, we're going to add glass. All right, so if you were here in the beginning, I had taken a vase and cut some glass nips, okay? So this is literally some little pieces of a vase that I nipped with my nipping pliers, okay? So I'm gonna use these, and I'm literally only gonna do these two front fatties, okay? So it kind of brings it and makes it a little more three-dimensional in the front, and then the back is kind of in the background. So let's see how this works. Oh, that paint is still wet. So I'm gonna just kind of add a few little pieces here and yon. Oops, let's do it that way. The glass definitely wants to go the way it wants to go. So let's add. And I got this piece at the bottom because it was kind of curved. And then, hang on. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to figure out the best placement for this. So let's do that. And then maybe a little bit of that. Bear with me, y'all. It's a puzzle. It's like a puzzle. And then we'll do that. And a little bit of that. Upside down. So these are just little pieces, and you're going to fit them in kind of puzzly. And if I need to add more, I can. I have a whole cup full. All right, let's work on this side first, or next, and see what we can do. All right, so we'll start low, and then we'll add this one high. We'll put a little baby piece there. Let's do this one here. We definitely need to sneak another piece or two in. Let's try this one here. Perfect. And I think I need a little one, maybe a little smaller, going this way to give it that egg shape. And I think I'm gonna have to take this one out. It's not making me happy. I am gonna use it to push this one down though. go. All right, and I got this little baby piece we can put right there. So this is gonna give that dimension just in the center. So, and we may put a little clear glass on the outer edge. We'll see. We're gonna get this done and then see what we have. All right, I need a few little replacement pieces for, that's too big. I think that's too big, but let's place it and see. Oh, that's good. Let's scooch it up. I think I may need one more little skinny one. Let's see what we have. Do we have a, oh, here's a skinny one. Hang on. Hang on. We're gonna put this one right here. We're gonna tuck it under and let's scooch it up. There we go. All right, so kind of digging that. I almost want, let's see how I like this. Okay, just two little pieces, like little wings on the outside. All right, let's put all this back. I'm gonna grab some clear crushed glass. We're gonna add our stem back. We're gonna see how we feel about all of this. Let's add our stem. Let's add, hang on, I'm trying to puzzle it. That piece, oh my gosh, y'all, look at this. Is it just me? Is it just me? Clear. And put a little bit in my hands, and I'm gonna add some clear right to the bottom. Here's what I like to do. I like to put my hand here and then just pile it. I messed up a piece, but that's okay, we can fix that. Just kind of pile it on so it doesn't fall all over my table. All right, squish it in, squish, squish. Let's get a few smidgies. Hey, Maureen. And I'm gonna put my hand here. We'll add a few more. Little nugs. I'm gonna put this big chunky thing over here. Nugs. Let me put this back where it belongs. He fell over. And what are we missing? Can y'all see that? I want to resin this so bad. I want to see how it looks. So we have our glass stem. We have a couple of pieces of vitrograph. I'm wondering, let me look if, hang on. I'm gonna see about another piece of vitrograph. Like slide it under. Let's break it here. You know, I like threesies. I like odd numbers. Let's look. 100 years old, Tootsie. Oh my goodness. That is awesome. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and get some resin going. And in the meantime, as we resin, if we feel like it needs a little something, something else, we can do that as well. But for now, I think, how much resin I think I'm going to mix an ounce. I don't think I'll need an ounce, but sure as I say that, it'll take every bit of an ounce, but I'm going to mix it. So let me grab my pen, and we're going to do a half and a half. Oh, I would probably sell this piece. It's got a lot of stuff, but I pretty much do mine by square inch, anything over like a 12 by 12. This is actually an 8 by 8. So I would probably price this at $69. That's me. You guys do you, but that is what I would price it at, and I promise you I would get that all day long. You got to be confident in, did I say an ounce? I'm going to do an ounce and a half. So we're going to do 3/4 and 1 1/2. So here is what I always like to say. Now, I was saving this little tidbit for next week's live in the Shattered Circle, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this right now. Thank you, Catherine. I would rather. Okay, I'm going to preface. Okay, because I've been selling art a long time, and I don't underprice my art. Now, when it is a holiday related thing, I usually don't charge as much because people buy holiday items and they don't like to spend as much because they only are out for a season, right? So I try to reduce my prices on Christmas and Valentine's, fall, anything that's seasonal. I try to keep my prices a little lower than I would price something that you could keep out all year. Now, you could totally keep this out all year, but anyway, I digress. Hang on. I said 69, but that was just off the top of my skull, okay? That was off the top of my head. I could probably get 89 for it, but, and it's a thicker canvas too. It's not the big fatty, but it's a thicker than the little skinny one. So here's what I always like to tell people when they say, I can sell my 4x12 Christmas trees for $40, $40 to $49 all day long. And I have so many people say, I can't sell them. And they're selling them for like 20 bucks. And they sell a bunch at 20 bucks. But here's how I feel about it. You could sell 10, or you could sell 5 at $20 and make 100 bucks. But most of that is not profit. Or you could sell 2 and make 100 bucks, and it's almost all profit. I would rather be on point with my pricing and not have to work so hard. You are killing yourself making so many Christmas trees. I'm just using Christmas trees as an example, and making so little profit at $20 a tree. Even if you only sell 2 at the higher price, you're still making more money in your pocket. Tell me if I'm making sense or not. I can explain this a little further if you need me to, and this is something we're going to be talking about extensively. Catherine, I'm stirring. We're going to be talking about this extensively in the Shattered Circle next week, but I would rather sell 2 at a higher profit margin than sell 5 and barely make any money, right? That is my thought process. Just saying. So, with that said, you need to price accordingly. And if people are coming, if you're doing a show and people are coming into your space and you have a Christmas tree marked at $45 and they think it's too expensive, they're not your customer. They are not your customer. Because I'm going to tell you this, and I am God's honest truth. I am telling you the God's honest truth. I have been pricing my 4x12 Christmas trees at $49 a piece for 5 years. And I have never not sold my Christmas trees. Girls, go in with confidence. You are creating something special. You are making a personal piece of art. Go in with confidence. And if you only sell 2 at $49, your profit margin is higher than if you sell 5 or 10 at $20. Sally, they will. Don't underestimate yourself and don't underestimate your people. I lived in a tiny farm town in middle Georgia for 5 years and sold a town of like 5,000 people. I don't know. Is Mary Ellen here? How many people are in Eatonton, Georgia? Eatonton, Georgia. Tiny little Nowhereville, Georgia. $49 for my Christmas trees. Just saying. I ain't gonna argue with you. If you want to work harder for less money, then you go, boo. You got to do you. But I'm telling you, you can sell 2 and make a higher profit margin than if you sold 5 for $20. Just saying, be confident. If they're out there, and it all depends on where you're selling it to. And I'm not talking about your city. You can't go to your church. Thank you, Catherine. I'm going to stir for another 10 seconds because I was running that pie hole, right? So if you're selling at your little church bazaar or a little flea market where people are coming and looking for a deal, this is probably $4,500. Yeah. This is probably not the place you want to be trying to sell your stuff. You don't want to be trying to sell your stuff in a place where people are coming looking for freebies or something that costs $12. You know, people are cheap. You need to be going to the higher end craft shows, the juried craft shows, the craft shows that have been going on for 20 years where people are just lining up to get in. Just saying, you do you, but I'm saying don't kill yourself to make $5. Don't do it. I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm getting off my soapbox, and we are going to resin our little art piece. I'm going to start down here where all these little nuggets of glass are, and I'm going to try not to drip it all over myself, okay? All over my little piece, my table. So let's just drizzle right on top. So I have to tell y'all a cute, funny little story. So I had one of my members message me and say to me, I met your ex-husband this weekend, and I thought, oh, Jesus, take the wheel. There's no love lost there, you guys. None whatsoever. Haven't even spoken to the man. Well, I take that back. Since 2020, the first time I spoke to him since 2020 when our divorce was final was a week or so ago when I had, sadly, had to message him. I had to send him a text because I was trying to renew my passports. And for whatever stupid reason, they had to know, you know, they want to know everything. They want to know your blood type, all the things, everything they can know about you. But they wanted to know my ex-husband's city of birth. And I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know. I think I know, but I don't know for sure. And, you know, because I try to erase all that from my little sweet memory. So I had to text him, but I digress. Had a girl message me and said, I met your ex-husband this weekend at a craft show. And I'm thinking, what's that? All right, I'm going to be nice. What's that man doing at a craft show? And he said he came up to her because she had a piece of art that he knew she learned from me. And I think it was the ballerina, if I'm not mistaken. And he came up to her and told her, asked her if she knew me, and told her that he was with me when I sold my original ballerina for $1,500. That's what I'm talking about. You price your stuff, and that's your price, period. I sold that ballerina that we do in our membership. I sold mine for $1,500. It's about being at the right show, and it's about being confident about your pricing. And you know what? If I hadn't sold that ballerina that day, I would have took it to the next show and been just as confident and said, that's the price. If you don't like it, then it's not for you. All right? And I am also working on a little class on art show, selling at art shows too. It's going to be in my membership. It's going to be available to my members. But it's about confidence, and it's about knowing your worth, right? Not really about my ex-husband. My ex-husband told me when, and I'm going to get off this ex-husband bandwagon in just a second because, ugh. My ex-husband told me that even though I was selling art and had my own business and was making six figures the day I met that man, because I'm a worker bee, he told me I wouldn't be nothing without him. And you know what? Don't let nobody tell you that. Don't let anybody tell you that. All right? He used to try to take my art and practically give it away. He would say, well, some money is better than no money. And I'm like, no, I worked hard on that. You're not doing that to me. And he would get furious because I wouldn't let him sell my art for pennies. Yes. And he would just get so mad. And that's part of the reason why I'm a divorcee. He had zero confidence and zero support in me. So, anywho, don't let anybody tell you what your worth is. If you're making this art and taking it out into the world, you value yourself and your art how it should be valued. Just stick to it. Find the right shows. Exactly. I agree with that. I'm glad I found him too because he thinks my art is beautiful. And sometimes he'll say, why'd you give that away? You could have sold that for X dollars. I'm like, because I don't want to. I don't want to sell it anymore. I want to give it to people. I want to gift it. I want people to be able to have it without worrying about how much it costs. Louise, you right about that. You are exactly right, Louise. He is the one who got our house foreclosed on. That's how magical he was. So anyway, I'm going to get off that little soapbox while I continue. I didn't mean to go down that road, guys. I know that nobody wants to hear all that crap, but just don't let people tell you whether they're customers, whether they're your family members, whether they're your brothers and sisters, your mom. Nobody gets to determine your worth. Nobody gets to determine how much your art is valued at or how much it is worth. That is you. And you, if you're making this art, it's a specialized, you're not just making a cute little painting that somebody could learn at their little sip and paint things that 5,000 people are learning at the same time. You're learning a special art, and that's how you should be treating it. And anybody who doesn't value that, anybody who doesn't, you know, here's what I like to say. People will say to me, and I've heard this from the beginning, is your art, and even when before I was doing art, when I was doing faux finishing, your price is too expensive. No, my price is not too expensive. If you can't afford my price, that's okay. That's on you. But my price is my price, and it is not too expensive. That's what I tell people. I'm sorry if you can't afford it. That's just how it is. So value yourself, value your time, and value your experience and your education and your ability to create this art piece, this art that not everybody has the ability to create. Not everybody has the talent. Now, I like to say, when you join my group, I can teach you. I can teach anybody. I feel that way. But you do have to be able to be taught. But not every Jane Doe going to the church craft bazaar is going to appreciate your abilities. All right, are y'all done? Are y'all done listening to all that? I'm sorry. I just get off on a tangent. It hurts my heart when I hear people, women, my people, my women, my ladies, y'all know I love my ladies, devalue themselves. It hurts my heart. Been there, I've done it. I've been told 1,000,000 times how worthless I was. You got to get yourselves away from that kind of talk. Whether it's you talking to yourself that way, or a family member, or a spouse, we're not putting up with that no more. We're not doing it, y'all. Don't make me come over there. Don't make me come over there. All right, I think in all my ranting, let me do a little drizzle right in here. I apologize, y'all. If I hurt anybody's feelings or upset anybody, I apologize. My goal in saying all that was to encourage you to value yourself and value your talent and your art. My goal was not to hurt a feeling or upset anyone. I hope that you know that. It was straight from the heart. Straight from the heart, right? Denise, I did not do a lot of shows in Eatonton. I was actually in a store. I was selling my art in a store in Eatonton, but I did a lot of vintage market days shows. So if you've heard of vintage market days, and I did a lot of shows in Atlanta, which were, I'm gonna give y'all a little tidbit. Private schools in your area oftentimes do fundraisers for their school, and a lot of times it's going to be an art show. Okay, so I've done a lot of private school fundraisers where it's like a show where they do jewelry and art and all kinds of stuff, and the parents all come in and they're buying from vendors, buying from artists, buying from people, and it's a tax write-off because it is a fundraiser for the school, and they will spend that money, all right? We're going to talk about this in great detail in the Shattered Circle, so if you're not a member, you really should be, because we're going to be learning all the things. Now, I need to hit this with some heat, and I got a little bit of cleanup to do, but before I take my gloves off, yeah, Robin, you got to find the right store. Look how pretty this is. I cannot wait for it to dry and show you tomorrow.